Okay, good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you here, and I'd like to extend a really warm welcome to Gar Chalfont, who is the founder of Dementia Pioneers. And tonight, Gar will empower us all by talking about the root causes of dementia and how we can prevent it. We'll also hear about clinical trial successes in dementia reversal. And I'd just like to say, I've met Gar through forming my own PHA hub here in Garstang. And Gar and I share a vision to empower the public and to set up a network of dementia pioneer advocates across all our health hubs. I mean, what a great thing that would be. And just to let you know, Gar is willing to travel around the country and visit our hubs to train a trainer. That's our aim, isn't it, Gar? To train the trainer. Imagine having a dementia pioneer expert in every hub, at least one. So please, when we finish the presentation, do get in touch if you'd love Gar to come and visit your hub. And he does a workshop, so it'd be a great opportunity to share his expertise and spread it around our hubs. So I will stop chattering and welcome Gar. We'll have a Q&A at the end, so hold on to your questions until then.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you're seeing just the one screen, Empowering Brain Health. Thank you very much to PHA for inviting me, and it's a real opportunity to get you right up to date with exactly what's going on. So let me see if I can, I need just 1 second. I need to turn off something here so that I can, oops, should have done this earlier. All right. Okay, got it. Right. So I'm going to, this is a brief outline. I'm going to talk about my path and the research in the US and the UK that led up to my formation of Dementia Pioneers. And then a proposed collaboration with the PHA, 4 ways to prevent and recover from dementia. What I'm going to focus on in this presentation is detox, nutrition, movement and exercise, and grounding in nature. And then ending on the concept of placemaking. And a simple question for you all to just ponder: what causes dementia? Now, I'm born in the UK, but I sound like a Yank because I lived over there a long time. And when I was over there, I had a career in music. I went into geography, landscape architecture, and design and build. And I was building clients' gardens. And then my mother got this thing called dementia and went into a nursing home. And also one of my clients, her husband, developed Alzheimer's and went into a nursing home. So I would go and visit, and then the reality of nursing homes in America really hit me like a Mack truck. So I thought, well, I can't just continue to make nice gardens for people who live at home and who can step outside and use them. But I wanted to focus on when people are in a care setting, what they have access to. So I decided it's a good time to come back to the UK, see what it's like living over here now. And instead of getting another degree in landscape, I focused intently on architecture, because it's the architects and the owners of the building and the company, the care company, that make decisions about the building before it's even coming out of the ground. So by the time the building's coming out of the ground, they might call in someone to design the garden. By then it's too late, because they've decided to put the garden on the back of a 3-story building in shade in cold, windy conditions. So I thought, if I can talk to architects with a little bit of language they can understand, maybe I can make a difference. So that's what my focus became. And guess what the approach to dementia was that I found when I came back? Wait and see. Well, it won't happen to me, and if it does, I'll deal with it then. You know, everyone's got these stories. Well, Joan smoked till she was 104 and she never got dementia. Duh, that doesn't mean. that smoking doesn't cause dementia. My husband's having problems, but we'll handle it on our own. It's okay, right? Or diagnosis, then go home and wait till you get worse. And my GP knows best, that whole thing. And then there's, of course, drug therapy. When it gets worse, we'll give you something for it. The NHS will sort me out. I mean, these are all quotes of people that, things that I've talked to them about and things that they've come back to me and said. The NHS will sort me out. I've heard that quite a bit. Then you can read the papers and donate money. Yeah, every week there's something in the news. What can you believe? And then que sera, sera, whatever will be. That's life. So I didn't think any of those were really a very good solution. I can appreciate that you don't think so either. Well, I was looking into the literature and I found all sorts of things that made me wonder that there were parallels between waiting for the dementia drug and, you guessed, what's going on right now. So one study in particular, about a third of the people with plaques and tangles do not go on to develop dementia. So if you're told that it's the plaques and tangles that cause it, therefore we need a drug to get rid of the plaques and tangles, that's sort of an obfuscation. It just moves you away from the fact that you probably need to look at why those plaques and tangles are there and what you can do about them. And I now know that actually they're part of the immune system. So you don't just go in destroying them. So then my path was like, wow, when this paper came out in 2014. It's from the States, Dr. Dale Bredesen. I know people who are into the dementia field and sphere have heard of his work. But he was looking at the metabolic factors, all the different things that are contributing to the dementia. And he came up with a comprehensive personalized program. This is not one size fits all at all. And he was looking at multiple factors of causation. And this study in 2014, there were 9 out of 10 patients who improved beginning within 3 months. 6 of the patients had stopped working or were struggling and they'd gone back to work or are continuing without difficulty. And improvements have been sustained. So the people in that study, 9.5 years later, they still don't have dementia and they're doing fine. You don't hear about this in the mainstream, do you? This should be all over the news, but this sort of information never is. But anyway, I felt like, hey, there's nothing holding us back now. We can just roll this out, right? So Dementia Beat Camp was born and I put it on Facebook. And, dementia prevention is not just about preventing the symptoms from occurring in the first place. Symptoms at any stage of illness can be reduced by modifying a person's daily life. But it does take a great deal of resource. But when you hear the word prevention, I don't want you to think that's only primary prevention, which means you don't have any symptoms and therefore you're preventing yourself from ever getting dementia. That's primary prevention. What I'm mostly working on is secondary prevention, which means people already have some indication that something's not right, okay? And you can prevent at that stage. You can also delay the onset and you can slow the decline. In 2014, I thought this was enough to go on. Let's do it. I had colleagues. I was involved with horticultural therapy in the States and also over here. And I was going around to conferences and I would meet some really wonderful people who were doing things with hort therapy for dementia prevention. And Dr. Nishino is a fantastic practitioner. He owns a hospital and day center and retirement facility and specializes in the use of nature for people with dementia. So I visited him and his colleagues, and I wanted to see how he was doing it and what he was doing. So I was very excited about that. And then I thought, yeah, I've got to have the research component as well. I can't just be doing the gardens and letting people improve without showing that it's an improvement, without, actually documenting something at a research level. So, okay, I started RIPE because I thought, hey, the time is ripe, right? Research Initiative for Preventative Education. And it has all these things: as evidence-based, educational, research-based, person-powered, place-based. It's a social enterprise, partnership, innovation for mind, body, and spirit. And I was so gung-ho. This was absolutely fantastic. So I set up RIPE and I started a website for RIPE All I needed was a home base for bead camp. Thought that can't be too difficult. So up the road from where I lived in Sheffield, there was this house, which was a student house, and it had a bunch of rooms in it. And in my mind, I thought, yeah, this could be the seminar room, this could be the studio, and this could be the eat-in kitchen, and this could be the, and I worked all that out, and then pulled all the resources I had and signed on the dotted line and rented this place for a year. But all I needed was participants. So this was going to work, right? This is totally going to work. So I contacted the Sheffield Council. I said, hey, I'm going to do this program, and they said, have you got any funding? Well, no. Well, bye. Okay. So then I contacted the Alzheimer's Society. I thought, yeah, they're going to love this. Who wouldn't love this, right? Ooh, you don't want to give people false hope. And you don't want people to think it's their fault. And you're not a university or the NHS, so we can't refer people to you. Now, I could go into in depth in each of these comments that they gave, but you can probably assume where the comments are coming from and what I would have said in return. But anyway, let bygones be bygones. That didn't work. So in the States, in football, we say drop back 10 and punt. So I dropped back 10 and punted. And I thought, okay, I'm nowhere near going to go and work for the NHS because I have no medical background or training at all. That's one reason. But I can go back into academia because I kind of know how that works. So I took a research post, and I, for 7.5 years, was a health researcher, which brought me up here to Lancashire. I was a research post at the Lancaster University. I began Dementia Pioneers, and we used to meet monthly, and all sorts of people came who are now really good colleagues who I'm still in touch with, because they see it outside of, they see it in ways that it can really make a difference, but they weren't NHS people and they weren't university people. So anyway, I had multiple publications on the job that I was hired to do, which was about older people, fair enough. But the whole time I was there, I was trying to get a grant in the door to fund a trial with the 2 memory services, and they'd all agreed they were going to be on board. Just go find the funding and come back to us, and we'll do this study. And I was going to compare this lifestyle approach to the normal, here's your drug, go home approach. And I thought, this is going to be dead easy, right? Well, academic inertia to solve diseases, right? Preferring instead to explore how people cope with them. I could have got all the money I wanted to explore how people live well with dementia, but forget trying to get a study to show what you can do to prevent it or to reduce it or to recover from it. So that was that. Meanwhile, guess what's happening in the States? They've now got 100 patients, right? Reversal of cognitive decline, 100 patients. I'm like, I can't believe this. There's nothing happening over here, and yet everything's happening over there. And this little puddle that divides these 2 countries is like huge. Why the heck can't we do anything over here? There's got to be something happening over here. Anyway, meanwhile, I continued to promote prevention, and but I was wondering, is reversal possible in the UK? And I tapped into my various colleagues and practitioners who I knew, and I found a few people who were practicing, who were doctors who were either in the NHS and also had a business on the side where they were seeing their own patients, or they were in the NHS and they gave up on that game and then they were just seeing private patients. But all of these practitioners were in the UK, one of them has since moved. But anyway, yeah, so it was pretty exciting to find out that actually something is happening in the UK. And so I was able to write this paper with these colleagues. Personalized medicine for dementia, collaborative research of multimodal non-pharmacological treatment with the UK National Health Service. I put that in there because each of those practitioners were either trained by the NHS or were still working in the NHS. And I just want to read you a couple of lines from the abstract, if you'll bear with me. The dominant narrative around dementia argues that progression cannot be halted or reversed. However, evidence on multimodal non-pharmacological treatments formulated around a personalized medicine approach challenges this view. To our knowledge, this is the first paper reporting practitioner case reports documenting improvements in symptoms of memory decline in patients from the UK, Greece, and New Zealand. These case reports are novel in showing marked improvement in symptoms for what is currently, by conventional medicine, considered an irreversible condition. Okay, and I was really happy to see that. And this was the diagram I made of the outcomes. Now, if you look down the first column, I asked you at the very beginning to tell me or to think about what causes dementia, right? If you look down underneath drivers, that's what they call it, causes, but drivers of cognitive impairment. Each of those things caused some aspect of dementia in each of these participants. And there were 6 participants, 4 women and 2 men. And what were the treatments? It wasn't just one drug, it was a multiple holistic approach is what I would call it. And it included nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, sleep hygiene, detoxification, thyroid and adrenals, hormones, and supplements. Now, what were their results? Well, they normalized all sorts of things. I mean, above and beyond improving the memory, they normalized serum levels, folate and homocysteine, thyroid function, blood sugar levels. People lost some weight, decrease in blood pressure, so therefore they could get them off of the blood pressure medication, improve mental, physical, and social function, cognitive function, energetic, emotional, and spiritual function. That's a heck of a lot of good result for this multimodal approach. And the findings were that this is not just a memory problem, and it's never too late to start. Success does require family support. There's a whole lot of resource that needs to go into actually helping a person to achieve this. Nutrient deficiencies were big, what people eat and don't eat. Prescription medications, as you can probably imagine, do contribute to cognitive impairment. If your thyroid function has been misdiagnosed or mistreated, that can contribute. Toxicity, heavy metals, pesticides, infection. There is a connection to diabetes, and because actually, I think the latest figure is about 50% of people with diabetes go on to get dementia. There's a gut-brain connection. If you're dehydrating and fast, well, the dehydration and fasting also does play a role, and then metabolic syndrome. So this was really cool, and then I was very pleased to see this come out on their website, where this was on the highly accessed articles. Oh, how cool is that, right? And they use one of the graphics there. So this is a highly accessed article, which again would lead me to think that if there's lots of practitioners downloading this and reading this, then surely the tide is starting to change, right? Surely there's going to be a groundswell of interest in this sort of thing. Well, guess what? And every year, there's more and more projection, isn't there? Oh, by the year 2050, there's going to be, so many hundreds, thousands of people with dementia. So the case files of people with dementia continue to build. And sorry, but you know what? This is what's happening in the care sector. As any of you know, if you've had any involvement with it at all, because no one's turning off the bloody fan, right? They're just trying to pick up all these little pieces with all these people who all have needs which they cannot meet, and ignoring the fact that there's any cause to what's going on with that person. So we need prevention, we need a root cause analysis, and we need treatment. So enter the Dementia Pioneers. Now I'm setting this up as a CIC, which is a community interest company, and I'm converting Chalfont Design over into a CIC, which should be pretty straightforward. And the goal of the Pioneers is to reduce the symptoms known as dementia in the UK. And the aims, some of them I've listed off here: raise awareness about the root causes and available interventions, Stimulate interest and promote adoption so that prevention and recovery become the norm. Why can't it become the norm? Why can't this be the country that does it? Empower and signpost the public, because they don't know. Outside of this group that's gathered here, there are very few people who know there's anything that can be done. Set up a national network of dementia pioneer hubs, and Lisa mentioned that earlier, and I'll go into that in just a second. And develop an educational retreat center, yay, to provide and promote the work. So here we go. Collaboration, right? People's Health Alliance and Dementia Pioneers. And what I will be doing is connect with each of the PHA hubs, find one or more people at each hub who wants to reduce dementia in the UK, deliver in-person Dementia Pioneers training this year, support them to be a point of contact to meet people, share information, empower people to action, and signpost them to further resources. And then set up an educational retreat center at our local PHA hub in the Garstang area. When we finally settle on a place, I want to make sure there's plenty of space for developing the all the green infrastructure that we're going to need. So now I get to the next section of this, which is instead of going through all of the 8 main topics of reasons why, I'm going to focus on 4, and I'm going to do it in this order. Detox, nutrition, movements and exercise, and then end on nature, light and grounding, because that moves us into section 4. So in the health pack, I've included the full presentation from my roadshow, so don't feel like you're missing out on this. And that will cover the 8 main categories or factors causing dementia and how to prevent and recover from each. You can also find this on my blog if you go to dementiapioneers.uk. I put that on there, so I'm only going to touch on these 4 right now. So detox, I'm sure you've all heard about this, and no doubt you will know it's very, very necessary, especially these days. As if the chemtrails and toxic food isn't enough, now we have chemical spills. So the detoxification basics are eat plenty of veg, keep elimination routes flowing. If you are dehydrated or constipated or you don't sweat, you need to sort that right now, guys. Make sure that you're peeing and pooing and sweating. Okay. For sweating, you can go sauna, you can exercise, you can eat hot, spicy food like chili. There's other ways that you can sweat, but definitely get some sweating into your week. Drink filtered water, eat organic foods, try dry skin brushing because it moves your lymph system. And the lymph is what does the elimination. So do that. Also, there's different teas that help. And if you've got old metal fillings still and they're cracked or loose, get yourself to a good biological dentist and see if you can start removing some of those. Cool. Okay. So as well as eating plenty of veg and drinking dandelion and nettle leaf and celery seed teas, you can add green tea, ginger, chlorella, turmeric, limes, avocado, blueberries, apples, wheatgrass, spirulina, probiotics, and several oils, flaxseed, olive, coconut, and hemp. Now we're on to nutrition. Now here's just the basics because this is a huge topic. So I'm thinking about all of these things from the perspective of the science that has worked and the studies that have been successful. So under nutrition, here's the basics. Eat good fats, eat good carbs, avoid processed foods, and limit your eating to within 12 hours a day. So if you're nibbling from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, no way, guy, no way. 12 hours is your feeding window, they call it. Feeding window. 12 hours a day, that's it. And stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. I know that's difficult too. Okay. Bredesen Research and Treatment Approach, it used to be called the Bredesen Protocol. It is now carried out by his company, Apollo Health. And it's online, just find Apollo Health. And they use a version of the ketogenic diet called the Keto Flex 12-3. And that's 12 for limit to 12 hours. And the dash for 3 means stop eating before bedtime. I just want to mention here, good fat versus bad fat. If you don't know, ask yourself, did God make it or did the factory make it? And nowadays, I think that if there's anything made in the factory, fat or no fat, just don't eat it because we don't know the extent to the amount of crap that's out there. We can do our best to try to clean up our plate as best as possible. And for goodness sake, stop sucking on aluminum or aluminium, sorry. Yeah, the number of people that still drink out of aluminum cans, it's like mind-boggling. I can't believe it. All the aluminum that's in the brains of people who've died of dementia, and we're still sucking on aluminum cans. It's incredible. Limit simple carbs, bread, pasta, crackers, pastry, cake, pizza, fried foods, all the reasons for living, right? And avoid sugar and artificial sweeteners. That's the only don't slide, and all the rest are do. So here's a few things that you can do. These are all foods that are good for brain health. They include good fats such as olive oil, olives, butter, and coconut oil, and plenty of fresh leafy green veg, oily fish, wild-caught salmon. I know we're all on the boat out there catching our own salmon these days, right? Avocado and flaxseed. And flaxseed, if you are vegetarian or vegan, is your omega-3 alternative if you don't eat fish. So that's a cool thing to have on hand, and just sprinkle ground flaxseed on your meal. This slide's not too bad. Pretty much go along with all the things on here, except tuna is a very big fish. And the larger a fish is, the longer it's been in the ocean, the more toxins it's sucked up. So if you are absolutely mad wild for tuna, then only have it once or twice a month. Stick with the smaller fish, the smashed fish, sardines, mackerel, anchovies, salmon, and herring. And then the other no-no is, you see over here where it says yogurt and mixed nuts. It shows it in a plastic cup. And I've seen that for sale, where it's mixed at the factory, where they put the yogurt and then they put fruit in with it, or yogurt and granola or whatever, and they mix it at the factory. Well, the only way you can do that without it rotting is to add sugar. So do your own mixing at home in a bowl. Just don't buy stuff that's already got the fruit and the yogurt mixed in, because if you read the ingredients, it will say that it's got sugar. We've got one more slide on food. Yeah, there you go. Antioxidants reduce your risk for Alzheimer's disease. They say you should eat a rainbow. Well, get as many colorful vegetables in, fruits, berries, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices are recommended. Also include curcumin, resveratrol, ashwagandha, lion's mane mushrooms, dried lavender and sage leaves, quercetin, green tea, green coffee bean extract, milk thistle. These are all things that were cited in the research, so that's why I'm putting them out here. Okay, now we go on to the next topic, which is movements and exercise. And if you're thinking about which is the best exercise to do, cardio and strength training, those are the two that you need to be doing. Cardio gives the brain oxygen and nutrients. You can also stand on your head regularly. I recommend it. It's not very difficult. You can learn how to do it. And that gets the blood circulating to the head. Exercise makes new brain cells. It's anti-inflammatory, lifts your mood. It reduces your risk for Alzheimer's. Exercise and movement, really important. And it's never too late to be what you might have been, said George Eliot. So here you go. I recommend strongly dancing, because it's not only movement, it's not only exercise, but it's the music, but it's also, you've got to think about where you're putting your feet, right? So it's it's like, it's a multitask, multimodal task, just like gardening, where you've got to think and you've got to do in the physical labor, but you've also got to think about what it is that you're doing. So it's different from just going on a jog, where you're not actually thinking, you're probably zoning out, or maybe you're listening to a podcast. But exercise and music and dancing and gardening, really good. Done outside, even better, which gets me to the fourth topic, which is nature, light, and grounding. If you don't know what grounding and earthing are, it means get your shoes off and get your feet, bare feet, onto the soil, onto the ground, the grass. Wet grass is the best because the water conducts electricity. What you want is electricity from the earth's electrons to come up through your feet into your body. if you wear synthetic shoes, which everyone does these days, it's really hard to find leather-soled shoes anymore, then that blocks out the Earth's electrons. So you're not getting anything that Mama Earth put there for us. And the other direction of travel, when you, if you have inflammation, then the Earth is a sponge. It's an absolute sponge for inflammation. And you can see from this thermal image down here on the left that the legs on the left-hand side that have yellow and red, that was a thermal image before this person went outside and grounded. And the one on the right is afterwards, because the inflammation actually gets sucked out of the body through the bare feet into the earth. So it's just amazing what the benefit, and it's free. It's like so totally free. People don't really want to do it. Oh, I don't want to get my shoes on. Ooh, feels weird. Yeah, right. Okay. So I did this at one of the gardens I did a few years back. And out of all the people in that day center, there was only one lady who agreed to come outside and take her shoes off. And there was one carer who agreed. So here we are, you know, with a bit of trepidation. Come on, let's get onto the, you know, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. And she was hugging and kissing by the end of it. And then there was another carer who came out too. So basically, just do it. You'll love it. And I just wanted to say that a lot of care homes will brag about their sensory garden. And you should press a little bit deeper on what else they're actually offering, because bare feet, hands in the soil, food, growing, animals, exercise, art, fresh air, fun, all of that is part of connecting to nature. This was a good graphic that Bragg et al. 2016, 14, 16 came up with. And if you look down the left-hand side, you can see experiencing nature. And then underneath that, you can see interacting with nature. And then across the top, the first column, which is all the white gray column, is just everyday life for the general population. Okay. Then when you move over into nature, health, and well-being sector, you've got two categories. One of them is health promotion, nature-based activities for the general population. And then you've got green care. And green care is nature-based therapy or treatment interventions, specifically with a population in mind. Okay, people with a defined need. And just about anything that you can find out there. And there's some very good examples from people within this group who have shown us what they've been doing. And it all fits in there somewhere. So that's just an overview of what we mean when we're looking at nature and who it's for and how it can benefit. So yes, nature and outdoors. It affects just about everything. So over here, you can start with heart, spirit, and memory. And then you go to strength and balance and agility, cardiovascular health and stress relief. Then there's reskilling. And then there's neuroplasticity, because you grow new brain cells through the cognitive stimulation and occupation. Then the fresh air and sunshine gives you better sleep and a healthier appetite, heartier appetite. And then growing your own food and healthy eating improves your diet, nutrition, and awareness. And then social interaction, that's about your identity, your relationship, and personhood. And then animals and art, creativity, empowerment, and emotion. So don't let anyone talk you down about the importance of nature and the outdoors, specifically for maintaining cognitive health, because it's huge. It's really huge. And what are the benefits? What improves? Well, blood pressure, sleep, mood, memory, appetite, strength, and balance. Oxygen and nutrients are pumped to the brain. Again, the exercise and nature and all, it's all connected, because we as an entity, as a creation, are all connected. So it's not like, you know, you got an ear doctor and you've got an ankle doctor and, you know, no, it's one whole thing. And nature brings it all together, because we are as much a part of nature as we need nature to be in our lives. So it's a good way to stay active, keeps yourself involved in life, getting fresh air and sunshine, growing some of your own herbs, or letting nature inspire your artwork. And then there's animal-assisted therapy. a garden redesign project and the staff training in a nursing home, which I did a couple of years back. I had to completely redesign the garden, and I worked with residents and staff and families to figure out what it was that we needed to do there. And these particular clients who lived in this home were mid to late stage dementia, actually, and they had significantly distressed behaviors. They had been in a lockdown ward prior, where three big hunky guys with white jackets came and grabbed the person to take them, to hose them off. I mean, it was a horrible kind of a place, and the commissioner, in his good wisdom, closed it and moved these people over to this nursing home, under the condition that I get to come in and do the garden to make sure that it's all done right. So that was a real blessing. So I was in there a few days a month for a year and a half, and I had staff do one thing for me. Well, I mean, I got them to do a lot of things, but one of the tasks that I had them do was they had a sheet of paper with 4 questions. Did this resident go outside today? Yes or no? How long were they out? How many minutes? On a scale of 1 to 5, how did they feel before they went out? On a scale of 1 to 5, how did they feel when they came back in? And in the course of a year and a half, I had a stack of these forms. And then I was contacted by Jonathan Wyatt, University of York, and he wanted to analyze them for his master's. And we found out that actually exposure to nature gardens had time-dependent association with mood improvement. Well, we all know that nature improves our mood, but every now and then you have to prove it. So that was a nice paper that we got published there. And don't forget animals. There's a lot of benefit there, both ways, animals in the natural world. And then also it's about art, isn't it? Green care for the whole person, art. So this brings us to the last little segment, which I'm calling Place the New Medicine. As long as we are reinventing the world we live in, let's reinvent dementia and go beyond care. During this transition period, a lot of people need good quality care, but let's also start the ball rolling towards a life that simply by its essence has no need for dementia, and let placemaking play a role in that renewal. It's possible that some dementia is an emotional, psychological, cognitive clocking out of today's world, as life today, for some, has lost its reason, become meaningless. Perhaps the person is not demented, perhaps the world is. How about if we reinvent and innovate in order to educate, inspire, and lead? We regenerate the ethos to work, learn, give, and teach through creativity, culture, and business. How about if we intentionally build differently based on a new philosophy of care? Change completely and redesign the space, meaning, and plan of the day, making the days far greater than the common expectations of later life. Identify the uniqueness in your geographical place, so your location, your culture, economy, and nature, to create your production industry, business, or service plan. Collaborate with tradespeople, farmers, teachers, artists, skilled craftspeople, students, and elders to invent a radically new and exciting business model. Each location is the proper place with care embedded within them. I'm real strong on this because a lot of care homes, nursing homes will have a room where they will turn it into something. And it's a fairy tale. It's just a joke. And you don't have to have dementia to understand that it's not real. So I think we need proper places, bakery and cafe, plant nursery, children's nursery and playground, dairy farm, ice creamery, laundry and seamstress, sewing and craft shop, all these things, but they need to be proper places. Places stimulate business and purposeful occupation, as well as mindful collaboration with people with dementia who visit or stay over to help return common sense values, meaningful involvement, and human caring to daily life. Create the first living and learning environment for people with dementia for emotional growth, reskilling, personal peace, and spiritual evolution according to their biography, remaining abilities, and untapped aspirations. Now, the way I first tried to sketch this out was, this is like how the new medicine would fit into time and space. And this sketch shows the passing of the day with its stimulation and activities flowing kind of in sync with the passing of the time in the sun. So over here on the left, whether you see the red squiggle, that's like morning sun, active, productive, busy. And then moving over into afternoon sun, peaceful, quiet, reflective, and the things that might be more compatible with that, like the pottery studio and the kitchen garden and the wood workshop and things like that. So that was just the beginning of how this concept may lay on top of space, how creativity, stimulation, activity, and compassion can enable pro-centered lives to blossom, not dementia, but pro-sentia. And then this is how I envisioned it might apply to a village scale, a synchronization of people and time across place. So you've got outdoor adventuring and aquaculture ponds, mushroom farm, hydro dams, aquaculture, an omniversity instead of a university, you've got omniversity, beekeeping, a recreational lake with no power boats, so nothing nasty can leak into the water and kill things, polytunnel, greenhouse, gardener, willow for weaving, cafe and bakery, ice cream stand, a spa with a massage, sauna, and whirlpool, reed beds, water for water filtration and purification, and a woodworker, animal farm, rescued donkeys, goat, cow, and pony, caravans and camping, chickens, village green, herbalist, apothecary, community hall, musician, instrument maker, weaver, chapel in the woods, community hall, theater, cinema, dance hall, and concert hall, solar powered golf carts, yeah man, co-housing, guest house, and restaurant, playing fields, school and camp, car park near the helicopter landing pad near the train station. And then you've got artists, pottery, sculpture, drawing, painting, photography near the orchard, healers, homeopathy, acupuncture, aromatherapy, and nursing near the kitchen garden, co-housing in the guest house. Yeah, so that was what it looked like in 2013. It was almost 10 years ago. And then this is what it looked like on a scale of shared multifamily household. Again, maintaining the focus of enhancing nature in daily life. So here you've got winter garden, which is an indoor space with tropical plants, fountain, and seating. Domestic garden directly outside. Activity room with lawn, clothesline, garden shed, raised beds, and seating. Wooden picket fence around the domestic and games area. Sports and games area 1 and area 2 with different sorts of things on offer. Combo workshop, greenhouse, and chicken shed. And the orchard with the chickens, and a shed for chicken supplies and garden tools, patio shed for cushions and umbrellas, a bicycle shed for bikes and trikes for resident rides, community gathering space, table tennis, permanent outdoor table tennis table, a boules pitch, because apparently a lot of people like to play boules, not just in France, formal landscape borders, pond and gazebo, formal rockery garden with dwarf conifers, seating, and a bird bath surrounded by hedging, and then a domestic garden with lawn, garden, shed, and herbaceous border, and then a sensory entrance with herbs and flowering fragrant vines in raised beds on trellises near the front door. So there you have it. It's been a blast talking to you guys. I can't wait to have our discussion. An explanation of all 8 categories of causes of dementia can be found in the PHA and the People's Care Alliance Health Pack or on my blog. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gareth. Absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure everybody's really, really glad that they came along tonight, because there's a whole heap of information there. And just to know you and your passion for this is absolutely inspirational. It really is. And we've all got our reasons for being here, and some of them are pretty heartbreaking, but you know, the fact that we've got hope and we've got things that we can do, we can move forward and we can make a real difference here is, you know, just amazing. So I just want to open up the floor to Q&A. Popper's leading by example, putting his hand up, which is fantastic. Well done. So yeah, please put your hand up if you've got a question or a comment or, you know, some words of advice and recommendations. That would be fantastic. So Popper, please, yeah, go ahead.
Well, Gar, I think it will sound you quite familiar in your ears, but you're speaking my language.
Yeah, man. Fantastic.
What you did in this environment of elderly people, I did in Malta.
Wow.
On primary schools.
Wow.
And I did with a celebrity chef a Christmas dinner for 200 children and their parents in the school, all nutritious food. And they didn't believe me. So I can tell a lot, but really, I only want to say, when do we start? Tomorrow?
Oh, bless you.
We've started, Popper, haven't we? We've got a great team already together that are working on this. And
I'm scouting the fields.
Okay.
To get a feel on what can be where, etc. And that is where I want to talk with you.
Okay, cool.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Now, I think Tanya was waving her arm around, but she's disappeared off. So has anybody else got any questions, any comments they'd like to make? As I just mentioned then with FOPA, we already have, within PHA, we already have a care division where we're looking at, amongst other aspects of care, it's the whole care system, but we are looking at elderly care, different options, moving towards obviously a compassionate community care.
Yeah, exactly.
So a complete reversal of what we've got at the moment, obviously. So if anybody here wants to get involved with that, please drop me a message. You can email me at lisa@the-pha.org. We are a growing group. There's a lot of amazing people already involved with great experience, but ultimately we all have a passionate desire to create that compassionate community. So everybody's welcome. You know, there's room for everybody, and so just drop me a message if you want to get involved, please. Tanya, I'm going to go to you because you've had your hand up.
I thought I'd keep my hand up so you'd see me. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed listening to your love and enjoyment of what you're doing.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
You know, and how much I'm really excited because, like, I'm a healer, and I used to teach circle dance with older people, and I used to go in, you know, to these homes where people were so up to their eyes in drugs, and I just thought, well, what's the point? What is the point?
Yeah.
And you know, they'd be out of their heads with talking voices and all kind of stuff. But what you're saying is like so exciting to me. I wasn't even sure about coming on tonight, but my point is I'd like to be one of your pioneers.
Sweet.
Yeah, in Berkshire, where I live. In Berkshire, where I live, there are about 2 or 3 of us have kind of got together, and then nothing's happened. So I'm actually prepared to go to the nearest hub. I have a friend who is in a hub in the south of England, and she's doing lots of stuff down there. Like they're getting a lease on a health centre and all that sort of stuff. But we're not going. We're not. You know, we haven't met. We've only met a couple of times, and it's not been fruitful. But I would love to be one of yours if you'd have me. You know.
Absolutely.
And also, I read the Nun Study.
Okay, great.
It's all making sense. It's like all sort of like clicking into place.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they all wrote their stories down, and the ones who didn't have any imagination were the ones who got Alzheimer's, got the, you know, the thing, the brains open. So it's like I was with you from the so excited.
Brilliant.
Great.
So yeah, I would really love to do this kind of thing. And I have a lot of healing experience, all kinds of healing modalities, all kinds of healing backgrounds. And I love nature. I have been out today, took my socks and shoes off, and I was out there. I was digging up my spring. Yeah.
Tanya, you're making my night. Let me tell you, that's awesome.
It's like, wow, this guy. And really, I mean, with being a healer, it's like, what contribution can I make to other people? That is always my question.
Yeah.
What contribution can I make? And it's like, I sometimes feel, oh my God, I'm hiding away here. I don't want people to know what I do, because, it's like, I think I'm crazy walking out in bare feet,
Yeah.
It's like, and my husband's gone out dancing tonight, circle dancing, holding hands in a big circle, because he gets his social interaction that way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't tell people he does that. Oh, they think he's going bopping, and it's like
poker.
And animals as well, that kind of like receiving animal, giving to, the touching of animals. And I'm so glad to hear that things had changed for people. I'm really excited to know that is possible.
Absolutely, it's possible.
It's wonderful. It's great to have you on board, Tanya.
Oh, am I on board? Sure.
You're on board. That's it. Now you're committed. There's no escaping.
So what do I have to do to sign up? Where do I sign my life away?
Well, just email dementiapioneers@gmail.com. Anyone that wants to be in touch.
And the other thing is as well is that I'm elderly. I'm kind of like, I'm also elderly. So in this society's terms, I'm kind of like on the way going towards the little coffin, So it's like I have an interest in not going into the coffin before I'm ready.
True.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's coming to us all if we have the privilege of getting to old age, let's face it. But if people don't do it for others, do it for yourself.
Yep.
We need to create this new world. So Julie, hello.
Yes, it's been wonderful. I think I've seen you do a presentation before, Gareth, but
hi Julie. Yes, you do look familiar. Yeah. Are you local to Lancashire? Are you in Lancashire?
I'm from Mansfield, Nottinghamshire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you might have. I was in Sheffield for a while trying to do things there.
Yeah, and I have links with Yorkshire, including Sheffield.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Parents from Doncaster. So I'm a healer and other therapies as well. And it's been very interesting hearing what you're doing. And I've actually been writing something up today about vibration, and that we are all vibration, including thoughts and things. And what I was interested in particularly was I carry my water about in a metal container like that.
Yep.
Is that best not to be used with it being metal?
Well, it's stainless steel is better than plastic.
Right.
And better than aluminum. Stainless steel, which that probably is, because several people have shown me their water jugs, and they might be different colored on the outside, but inside it's a sleeve of stainless steel. So I think probably that's, if you can't carry something around in a bottle or a glass, if you can't carry it around in glass, then I suppose stainless steel is the next best thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I learned about plastic leaking estrogen, and I was carrying plastic and not wanting to be harmful to the environment. So I was reusing plastic, and I wonder if that seriously brought on early menopause, but I did have some other trauma that could have caused that anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But once I found out, what have you been doing trying to save this world? But also, I mean, what Tanya said about age-wise, we've got such an ageist community and society. I wouldn't say community, but part of my community is very ageist. And we need to change that terminology. I'm more youthful now, I'll be 63 this year, than I was when I was 40. And I actually once had a 38-year-old client who told me, oh, well, at my age, what do you expect of my back? I'm like, what? And I was Oh, please don't even go there. So, but thank you. You've been very inspirational, very uplifting. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. John.
Hi, so let me unmute. Yeah, I was, thank you for this. I was so excited to see this, a Zoom on dementia prevention. And I've been working mental health care, the NHS support work for a long time. I'm also massage practitioner. And more recently, I've been doing work on a dementia ward, and also got a friend whose dad's sort of on the edge of going into a home. But I'm totally into this idea of all these things you listed that promote well-being, you know, and I think the absence of any of these, like lack of diet, going outdoors, all these things you listed, well, I'm sure I've been demented in my time. You know, I've had mental health, I've had depression, but one of the things my ears pricked up at the end there, you said, yeah, and I teach Tai Chi and Qigong, so I've got a couple of groups going in Leeds, that's where I live, and I've been doing that in the mental health setting primarily, and I know that is the kind of I see people showing a very simple movement, you know, because we use our bodies. So I'm really into the body and movement. You know, we only use, you know, like I say in the class, you know, I haven't used my left arm today because it's done nothing since I got up. You know, but all the things you can do. So I know that is the neuroplasticity thing. We can always learn. You know, I've read that the learning is one of the best things for healthy neurology. The thing that you said, something there at the end there, was about which because I'm quite interested in trauma, also the effect of trauma in people's lives, and you said something about that people aren't demented, that they're checking out. I can't remember what you said. They're checking out of life because, you know, that seems to me, you know, like a big factor in decline. I don't know. Can you remember? Could you say anything about that? What you actually mentioned there? About, you said something about people are not demented, they're checking out or something, or they're depressed
Because of the way the world is.
Or the way
they're checking out of it.
Yes. Well, you know, I think that's, yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, what I was saying, John, was that it's possible that some dementia is an emotional, psychological, cognitive clocking out of today's world, as life today for some has lost its reason, become meaningless, and perhaps the person is not demented, the world is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
that's it.
Yeah, and you know, I'm really interested. As I say, I'm working with some elderly, but you know, I think it's a huge thing. It seems like most people I know have somebody in their family who has had this label, because it's a label. I see all these things as labels, you know, and yeah, I mean, I'm basically checking out the NHS because I can't do what I'd like to do. I'm not invited. You know, there's absolutely nothing on these wards, you know, and the diet, everything, everything.
Oh yeah, it's all contributing. Absolutely, there's nothing health giving at all. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And if you're not sick when you go in, you know, with one thing,
you're going to be sick.
You're going to be sick. You're going to be good and sick.
It's the ill health service.
Unfortunately. But the emergency care, I got to hand it to them. If we can just keep the emergency stuff and then let go of all the chronic, it's the chronic long-term conditions and care of the elderly. It's like that's not your remit, because that's not what you know how to do.
I like talking to them because, you know, I've observed when the families come in to visit, the ones that sit and aren't really engaging, that something switches on. So it's interesting to see that. But this that word elder, I was talking some, you know, the elders are the, I like that. I'm just turned 60. I thought, well, I want to be an elder, and I've got all that life experience, but yeah, just to, you know, like I think to be able to. I'm really interested in your website, and to be able to, you know, see some people. So I'm doing my Tai Chi. I'd like to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
John, you raise a really great point there. You know, we've got elders who have the wisdom, the life experience, all of these things that should be kept within our communities and passed on to generations.
Yeah.
Instead of being labelled and respected for that, they are being called bed blockers and a burden on society, and all of this terminology that is the absolute reverse of what they are. You know, I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's where we switch it around. That's where we make a change.
And that's why the economic factor that I brought up was important, because if you allow the economics, in other words, you go to school, then you go to a job, then you're productive, then you make money for the man, and then when you're no longer doing that, you're useless. You're,
a drain.
We need to get rid of you, right? Because you're no longer producing for the man. I'm sorry, man, woman, but I mean basically for the boss. Okay. And we've got to rethink and get out of that way of thinking of economics, and get into a whole different approach, which is about living from the day you're born till the day, you know, you go back. And it's a totally different approach. We have to take the blinkers off of what we've been dumbed down to think, and do it a whole different way.
Yeah, I've been asked, are you retired, John? And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Oh, I hate that word.
What do you do? You know, I said, I didn't even answer. I'm not going to answer, but I'm not going to stop doing what I'm passionate about.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but yes.
Can I react on this, John? Huh? Can I react on you? May I reply?
Yes.
Go for it, Copper.
Look at me. How old do you think I am?
Oh.
It's not a fair question, Papa.
Let me give you the answer. I'm 76.
Yeah.
I'm damn healthy. Don't use any medication. Exercise every day. Meditate every day.
Yeah.
And I'm full in swing. So what I can do, you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a living example of what our friend Gar just showed us.
Yeah.
I'm a sportsman my whole life. I eat nutritious food, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Full stop. So you can do it also. You can grow in that same direction. So there's one thing I would strongly advise you. What you say in your words, you manifest for yourself. When you say, it is my cancer, it is my heart problem, it is my heart attack, you don't own those things. Kick them out. You don't need them.
Yeah.
Right? So start with that. Start within yourself. It's so crucial. And then, based upon that, go to the farmer, because there are quite some farmer shops who have good stuff. Go to the farmer and say, I want that, that. It's there. It's only a change of thinking and a change of acting. I stop here.
Well said, Papa.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, John. Thanks, Papa. Sonia, you've had your hand up and been very patient, your little yellow hand.
Hi, Sonia.
You're on mute, darling.
There we go.
Hello.
Yeah, my screen keeps going a bit strange, so I might actually switch off the video if it starts flashing for whatever reason it's been doing that.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, Gareth. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I wanted to tune in tonight because I've sorry, there's a cat here doing things.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because I'm a naturopath, a nutritional therapist, and I've done some training with well, I've attended lectures with Dr. Dale Bredesen and done a little bit of training as well before with Cytoplan. And I'm really interested in what you have to say about for volunteers from each hub. I'm coming up to 66 actually, and a really good friend of mine who was a nurse for 45 years is 66, 67 now, and she has dementia. And it's absolutely devastating, and I don't know how to support her. I can support her nutritionally. I know how to do all of that.
Right. Okay.
When you've got friends and family who aren't living with you, it's a difficult situation.
Yeah. This is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, because people need things and they don't know where to go and what they can do. Right now, there's extra resources that a person may need, and I would signpost to them. I'm not saying that everyone needs to go to Apollo Health Co. in the States and, sign on to their website and pay the money. And I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in other words, I'm not promoting anything that's out there, except that things that are out there that are high quality and that I've probably studied it enough to know that I would endorse this. I mean, I get nothing from it, right? But I want people to understand what's out there so that they can make their own choices. So there are a lot of things that you can do that don't require paying a professional to have any testing done or whatever. So that's the bit that the pioneers will be able to do. They'll be able to sit down with a person and say, right, I've got a one-page sheet with 8 different categories, and those are the 8 categories that I just spoke about in the presentation. Okay, so there's a box for each of these categories, and there's yes, no questions. Do you do this? Do you do that? Da, 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 right? And then you can have a look, and the box that has the most no's is the topic that you probably need to focus on first. Now, you can do this for someone that you know very well. You can do this for yourself, whatever. But the other thing that the hubs I want them to have access to is resources that you can then refer people to. Not saying that you're endorsing it, right? That can land back on my desk. Yeah, okay, well, that guy said you guys were decent and whatever. But it's important that you know what resources there are in your area.
Yes.
If you know a good practitioner in your area who is aware that dementia has root causes and is doing some sort of evaluation, then that would be great to know. And why wouldn't you want to promote that person to be someone that you could refer to locally? You would also be aware of where your farmers markets are. And
sorry, I'm just going to interrupt because I'm going to switch my video off.
Okay, yeah, there's a whole range of different things. And as I'm learning, I'm going to be passing it along. So this is a way that instead of it just all landing on my desk and I'm sitting here going, oh, I know about this and I know about that. So what? I could go and give a talk to 20 people locally. Well, that's not going to quite cut it, is it? You know, we need to get the word out there quite broadly, so that more people can be helped sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
No, that's
Hope
great.
that helps.
That's
Yeah.
good to know. That's interesting. You should say that as well, because I'm just writing a talk on cognitive health for my local PHA, because each
Wow.
of us, we're writing talks, you know, so we're going to be able to offer that within the Huddersfield group anyway. And it's, I just thought it's really good to get that kind of, we are planning on doing something, you see, something, and we've just become a CIC as well.
Oh, right, good.
Sonia, do let us know when you're doing talks like this, you know, because we can help share that information. It's, you know, it definitely, it's great for us at Central to know what's going on in the hubs and to share that with people.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is we're trying to get something together where we can each give a talk, and maybe limit the talk to 20 or 30 minutes or something like that.
Mhm.
And then make those talks interchangeable. Oh dear. Make those talks interchangeable so that we can then pass those on to other members so that they can do them as well. But so within my hub, within my hub, there's me I've been a naturopath and nutritional therapist for 30 years now, and always, of course, always, you know, training in various things and keeping up to date. But we've also got a functional medicine doctor. She's an ex-GP, so you know, it's one end of the scale and to my end of the scale, and then we've got other people in between. And we also have a lady who's very active in you know, in counselling, mental health, and that sort of thing as well. She's extremely active, so she's, you know, I think the group, we've got some quite key people.
Absolutely, sounds great. Well, I'd love to hear more about what you're doing and what you know, what you're achieving. It's fantastic. The other thing that we're doing within the care division is putting together resource packs. So you know, I think that these will be a great help for people, and the hubs are a great way to get those out there in the communities. So you know, for myself, when my mum was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, you know, over 10 years ago, it's knowing where to go. Where do you even begin? You know, on this journey. There's no help, you know, we've no idea, have we? So that's the reason for putting these resource packs. That's off the first phase of what we're really working on, just to empower people and give them the knowledge of how to deal with the NHS, how to deal with the social services, to have lasting power of attorney information, get, you know, for us now as well, you know, it's getting ourselves set up. So I think these resource packs are going to be really beneficial to people, and the hubs are a great way of getting them out there. Definitely. Yeah, well, that's good to know. If you're you know, the side of things that include the power of attorney, that sort of thing. If it could encompass some, exactly. And you know, looking into things like that, and it takes time, but if you get that information and it's all in one pack, that's a fantastic source of information. By the way, I loved what you were saying earlier, John Mackey. Is it Mackey? You know, about doing the Tai Chi and the Qigong, because I go to classes for that and yoga, and I think they're absolutely superb. You know, it's about sort of getting people active and doing all those things, you know, in their lives on a regular basis. And I think it's absolutely key. I've just been invited to a table tennis group in one of my local villages, and I just thought, that sounds amazing. I really, because you know, I think you were saying before, Gareth, that you know, it's things like dancing and that
it's not just about the exercise, it's that coordination of the brain that's key as well. So it's
music.
It's also the social aspect, isn't it? Which is just so
Yes.
important for people.
Yeah,
It really is.
right.
Thank you, Sonia. Keep us posted on what's happening in, did you say Huddersfield?
Huddersfield,
Yeah, Huddersfield, and I noticed my friend's dental practice came up as well there. So
yeah.
he and I have worked quite closely together. So
Oh,
that's
sweet.
yeah.
That's great.
Fantastic. I
Thanks,
think,
Sonia.
Sonia, I wonder if you know Janet Rathel. She's here, and she's a naturopathic doctor here in Garstang, but I think
don't
she was.
think so.
No, well, maybe I can put you in touch. It's always good, isn't it? To
It
connect.
is.
Absolutely, yeah, that's great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Joe, you're up next.
All right. It was just a little
Oh.
tale to sort of about my dad, who at the age of 69 had a massive heart attack, and he was prescribed all these pills and potions, and he took them for a short while, and then one by one they went in the bin. He stopped smoking and just continued, went back in the garden, did his gardening, went to the bookies shop and did all sorts of stuff. And at the age of 86, he was dancing at a tea dance, and he dropped down dead with a heart attack. And I thought, what a way to go.
It's the best way to go.
You know, he just
That's
didn't
the
take any
best.
notice of what, well, he never did like any sort of authority. And I suppose his daughter's got a bit of him like that as well.
You'd be proud of you, Joan.
But yeah, he's, it was just, I was with him the weekend before because he lived in Northumberland, and we took him out for dinner, and he was not being very healthy, but he had an enormous big sort of ice cream milkshake thing. And I can remember him sitting there, and then a few days later he was dead.
Fantastic.
The way to go out, isn't it?
Which was a bit
Live
of a
life
shock.
right up to the last minute. Yeah,
You
man.
know, talking about dancing and music and stuff like that. I'm not sure what, my mum had died the year before, but I'm not sure what the woman he was dancing with thought about it. But
That's funny.
yeah,
That is funny.
yeah.
Joe, you're next.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm
Hi,
actually a functional medicine health coach, and I'm based in the New Forest.
Oh, hi.
So I'm here in that capacity just to find out what you're doing, Gareth.
Yeah.
So a lot of the principles that you've been talking about are very familiar to me, and it's things that I do my day to day.
Yep.
But I'm also here because my partner's mum has dementia. Unfortunately, she lives about 6 hours drive from me. So I'm trying to support her remotely.
Okay.
But it's just quite a challenge, really. Somebody who, you know, you're presenting all this information about all these sort of lifestyle modifications that you can make to make a difference to affect your dementia. But it's really difficult for somebody who's in the war zone to make those changes, because some of them are so difficult, and it can be all consuming and overwhelming.
Yeah.
So from a health coach point of view, this is exactly the sort of thing that I help people do.
Okay.
So can I not I'm not interested in touting for business, because dementia is not an area that I focus on.
Okay.
But I think it's really important in your resource pack to see if you've got any coaches, especially functional medicine coaches, and see how you can get them on board to help local communities and the pioneers in each region.
Yeah.
Right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Where did you do your training, Joe?
Functional Medicine Coaching Academy, the FMCA
Academy.
in the US, with the
Okay.
Institute of Functional Medicine.
Okay. Okay. I trained as a health coach with Center for Naturopathic Medicine in London. I also trained with the Bredesen Apollo Co.
Yeah, Dale Bredesen's a very, very familiar figure in the FMCA.
And I'm not going to be doing the one-on-one health coaching. I decided to take this bigger, to do groups. But
you can do both.
hats off to you that
doing
the work
both.
that you're doing, and definitely will be including access to health coaches and putting that out there. So did you tell me what location are you?
I'm in the New Forest.
Oh, okay.
There's I can see somebody in the group who's also one of my cohort. So
All
I
right.
don't know if she wants to reveal herself, but anyway.
Okay. But yeah, but there are coaches that train specifically for working in the dementia.
Yeah, I know Dale Bredesen does take FMCA graduates as part of his training course, and he has to have national board or FMCA health coaches. So it's not all health coaches that he will take. It's just because it's the training quality. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Did you have a question specifically around the health coaching and how it intersects with my?
Yeah, I was interested in how how you would. Now I know your background. I think just knowing how you're hoping to integrate perhaps health coaches in a similar way to Bredesen maybe, but
in terms of any practitioner, and I consider a health coach to be a practitioner, it would just be connecting them up, really. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone that does, that goes through the steps that I've talked about is going to need a health coach, but it's a fantastic resource to have. And all the people on Bredesen studies, they all had health coaches. They would not have been able to do it without a health coach. They also had 24/7 care or help or partner or someone in the home to help them with all the massive changes that they got to do. There's an awful lot of resource that goes into those people who were published, who actually reversed. And I don't know how much is possible in the UK, but the more of these resources I can just pull together and say, if you really want to go down this route, contact this person and see if you might want to be working with them. But it's really just referring along and not saying you have to do this or you have to do that, or this person's better than that or anything like that, because anyone that brings anything to the table, my hat's off to them, and if I can promote or at least put the word out there. I mean, a lot of people in the UK haven't even heard of a health coach, but I think it can be very beneficial, and certainly someone as qualified as you with your training and the functional medicine sphere too, which I'm very familiar with.
Yeah, I think the NHS is starting to consider using health coaches, but I suspect it's just lip service, and it'll all fall flat in its face, and they'll say, "See, told you so."
Possibly.
Not gonna work.
Yeah, let's just float the balloon and blow it down.
Yeah. But I think it's important is to not to forget the carers. Yeah, it's a massive thing, because they're going through it as well, and they're the ones who are having to support the person going through it as well. And so all carers need a little bit of TLC and a little bit of support and guidance as well, so not solely focusing on the victim, but
well, yeah, exactly. And this is the whole point with the community. Absolutely. Is that we can all share each other's loads instead of it just being a one-to-one thing in a very lonely road. And if you can't do it, you can't do it kind of, I mean, it's just like, no, we've got to reconstruct a whole different way of, I don't even like the word support, but being together and being with each other. And I think that space and the physical can be a way to contain that emotional and spiritual connection that we all want and are capable of. So it's just looking at all the different layers. Really pleased that you came on the call, Joe. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you for hosting. This is amazing. I'm really loving it. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Feel free to follow up.
I will.
Absolutely. Tanya, you've been very patient there, waving your arm around. What? Over to you.
Apologies, I didn't think you could see me. I wanted to ask about touch.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a healer, and I touch people, and we talked about social interaction, but what I think I was swapping a Reiki session with a colleague, and she said, the people don't get touched enough.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me this in 2005.
Yeah.
And so what role or what part do you have touch to play in your program?
It's sort of like, what role is air in your living?
Because when people are sick, they're touched. You know, they put something on them. That's the thing. You put something on them. And I remember when I was in hospital, one of the nurses started stroking my hand, and you know that was better than anything. Just stroke my hand, you know, and it's like that contact. I don't think it was even a nurse; it was somebody else, and that contact is okay. I'm going to say it. I think we're starved of that.
Yes, we are. Absolutely, we are. Yeah, and some of that has been promoted through health.
Exactly.
Plastic gloves, and you know, and some of it is promoted through quote unquote respect for the person. And you know, I mean, I'm not saying that you just run out and grab a person that you don't even know off the street and give them a hug, although I wouldn't mind doing that from time to time.
I'm really disappointed you haven't done it.
Yeah, no, it's a great point.
I think
I did. I went in Amsterdam in front of the big railway station with a big plate in front of me. 3 hugs.
Oh, well, if you've got a sign, that's okay.
Yeah. Man, good.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's a way to meet people, huh?
Yeah.
No, I completely agree, Tanya. I don't think we touch half enough.
True.
And I mean, basically, you just need the person's permission. And some of that doesn't have to be verbal either. It can just be the look, or a movement towards being able to touch.
Yeah.
I can't imagine healers not touching. I mean, I know that there's remote healing, I know that there's healing that happens above the body, but you're still touching with your energy, right? Because when you stand, when your aura meets someone else's aura, you're touching. Okay. We need to get away from this whole physicality of the body is the thing. It's not. It's just what we're floating around in at the minute. It's a vehicle that we're in at the minute, but our self is a lot bigger than that. It's not only our aura, but it's what we can see and what we can hear and all that. So I think if we're going to talk about health, we need to think about definitely touch on an electronic spirit level as well.
So I'm wondering whether people with dementia, when they start off, whether they're so cut off within themselves that it's not possible to reach that spirit within them, or that infinite being within them, or the soul within them. And with your program, maybe we can.
Well, I can't make any generalizations because everyone's dementia is specific to their experience and what has brought them to that stage. But I've met an awful lot of people and spent a great deal of time around people who are in various flavors of dementia, if you will. And from my mother's perspective, and also from all the ladies that I met in care home perspective, where they lost their spouse, or there was a disconnect emotionally and physically from the spouse, and that was never resolved. There's one of the boxes that I talk about that is all about unresolved emotional baggage, trauma, or whatever. And then if that's not resolved, and then the person goes into dementia, then the layers of the onion start coming off. And then all of a sudden she's cussing like a sailor, but she never, never ever said anything like that before, but now it's different. So there's a different part of the person that is revealed, but it's almost too late to then deal with the original emotional trauma. So this is why I would encourage you to, if you got some niggling thing, problem with family or whatever, sort it now, because it will eat away at you, and it could contribute. Emotional stuff can contribute to dementia. There was a couple of questions in the chat. I've tried to keep my focus here with you guys, but I've also tried to answer a little bit there. Yes, mom ate all the right things and exercised and did this and did that, and still got dementia. And that's true for a lot of people, but there are also underlying things that are not about what you eat or don't eat. It could be on the emotional level.
Thank you.
Yeah, hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tanya.
Okay, we've got one more yellow hand, Andrea.
Yes, yes, thank you. You've just answered my question. I was the lady that wrote about my mother spending decades gardening and eating vegetables and doing everything else that was on your chart. And I thought, I can't work this out, but you've just answered the question. It's emotional trauma. I know all about that.
Oh, well, there you go. I was going to say,
Yeah.
can
You've
you
answered, yeah, I've sat all the way through thinking, I can't work this out. I can't work this out. You've just answered it. That is definitely what it is in this case. It's unresolved emotional trauma.
Yeah.
And it's interesting as well, because it all has its root in childhood. Yeah. And I've just learnt in the last few weeks that her brother is also suffering from Alzheimer's, the two of them together. And I'm absolutely convinced that in this particular case, I mean, everybody's different, but this particular case, the root is in emotional trauma. And she also did lose her husband very suddenly at a young age as well. So that as well. Yeah. So thank you for that. You've given me an answer.
I'm just sorry that she couldn't have got it sorted earlier on, so you didn't have to lose her this way.
No, but at least I've got an answer tonight. So well, thank you.
Well, so that it doesn't carry on in the generation, make sure that you've got work to do, get on and do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think it's been a great evening. Lots of really great questions, and if you've any more, I've put Gareth's email address in the chat. You've got mine. If you want to get involved more, please do, and we'll make this recording available tomorrow for anybody that wants to share it. But thank you all very much for coming, and Gareth, thank you so much. I think everyone will agree this has been an amazing evening.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you enough.
A real pleasure. I'm just so lucky to be involved with you, lovely people. Waited a long time for things like this to happen, and working towards it. And when it does, it's magical. It really is. And I thank you for receiving my words and presentations as well and beautifully as you did, and sharing your personal stuff as well, and bringing questions to the table, because the more questions we bring, the more we can answer, and then the more we can learn and share. I'm learning every day about this. I mean, I'm no expert, but I just want to make a difference, and this is what I was drawn to do, I think. So thank you very much for entertaining me tonight.
Thank you. Okay.